All right, so welcome everybody. Thanks for having me on this lightning talk. I work for Red Hat. I'm also a PhD student living in the Czech Republic, and I would like to talk about how to use Arel the wrong way. So imagine a database model like this. I added the account just because there was an authentication talk. It's not really important. The important part is that you have some policies, you have some tailorings. One policy can have multiple tailorings. I think it's pretty straightforward, one-to-end relationship. We want to query the tailorings joined with the policy. Something like this happens. Select tailorings from tailorings, inner join, blah, blah, blah. What if we want to restrict the policies to a certain set, let's say by title? You probably don't want to do this. It's possible SQL injection, especially if the foo is a variable instead. The latest versions of Rails actually allow you to do this. You can put in a hash, and that hash will get delegated, and you generate a query like this. But there is a catch. If you look at it closer, it's semantically changed to policies, from policies to policy. Basically, Rails automatically creates an alias for you, except when it doesn't, because in the first example, it didn't. So if we complicate our model a little bit more from the previous example, let's say we add a scope. I will just showing a simple example, but you can imagine something more complex. So we have strict policies where the compliance threshold is 100%. How would we query this intuitively? Well, you do a join, and then you put in a where clause and a subquery, right? You select all the strict policies, put in the IDs, which generates you this query with the subquery inside. Of course, it is slower because you have two queries instead of one, even if they are together. There is something called active record merge that allows you to merge two scopes, basically taking the where clause from one and putting it to the other, as you see it here. It's nice, right? But if you look at closer, here you have my pointer. Is my pointer visible? Okay, so here is policies, here's policy, and we aliased it. It's not going to work. So Rails automatically creates an alias, but sometimes it doesn't. But I really wanted to use this kind of style of code method calls. So I started to look into what happens under the hood. So I took my query, and there is this nice tool where you can call where clause.ast in your scope, and it gives you something like that. Oh, wait, you wanted to take a picture. Go ahead, we have time. Okay, so it creates you something like this, which is Arel, which you can use to build very complicated queries. Other way of visualizing it is like that, which is not really important. What we are interested in is that there is a table alias. The left side has policies, the right side has policy. So if we are able to traverse that tree, we can steal from it all the aliases we do. So there is a class for that called Arel Visitor, which is also used for generating raw SQL. So whenever you run a query that's not written as raw SQL, it's actually using Arel Visitor to traverse it through and generate you the SQL. For Postgres, for MySQL, they have obviously separate ones. So when we do tailoring joins policy, we can create an Arel visitor that goes through every node. If the node is a table alias, then we can store the alias in a hash, in a mapping. That will result as a hash at the end. This is the left side, which gives us the list of aliases. And on the right side, with the policy strict, we do the same thing, but we modify the nodes. This is the wrong part. You shouldn't do that. But I haven't found anything better. And actually, if you modify the nodes, they are cached, so you actually have to copy them to not mess things up in your code base. So you have to create a new tree. So here, the right side will be something that swaps the aliases. This just creates aliases for all the tables. This one changes the existing aliases if you have any. So basically, calling this thing with the right side, a second where, it generates you the right query. Or obviously, you can just construct your query with an Arel. Thank you.